Emmanuel Selassie Jah Rastafari. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in love and unity. Like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beards that went down to the skirt of his garment. As the dew of Hermon, as the dew that descend upon the mountains of Zion. So there the Lord command the blessings, even life forevermore. So we allow God Selassie, Jehovah God, Rastafari. Almighty God, Rastafari, great and terrible God, Rastafari, is the Almighty God. Jah who seated in Zion and reigned out of all flesh. O thou most high, eternal Father, Jehovah God, Rastafari. Hear us and bless us, O Lord, and keep and sanctify us all. And cause thy holy face shine upon us, thy children, that we shall be saved and redeemed. O thou most high God, Jah Rastafari. Number 7, Adonai, God, Jah Rastafari. Let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our night heart be accepted in thy sight, O Jah Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty. That's it. Take great pleasure continuing reading from the book of Daniel, chapter 3, So. Holy Emmanuel Selassie Jah Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty. Daniel chapter 3. First voice continuing reading. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then and Harold cried aloud to you, it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore at the time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They speak and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, has made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, and the dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship that, he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews who thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Pardon. Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, and the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, Ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace, and who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king of Nebuchadnezzar, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his vestige was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was, won't be pardoned. Repeat. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his vestige was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lord, I see for 4 loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. King Manuel VII, Adonai God, Jah, Rastafari. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, came forward and came hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forward of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. And Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and delivered his servant that trust in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, and they might not serve nor worship any God except their own God. If I make a decree, that every people, nation, language who speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after their sword. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. 3rd and any verse of the 3rd book of Daniel, the read, continued, and sealed. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Nyabinghi Order, Jehovah, Jah, Rastafari, my Lord and Majesty, Empress, Prince, and Princess, give thanks for this, great book. This book that come to shine that I'm clear that Nebuchadnezzar come to bring his own music to the world, his own images of God, just like how you see the Pope come and set up and change times and laws and change the image of the true Ethiopian Christ into their Roman, theology and all them things there. It's the same Nebuchadnezzar right there that come to change everything that is, Hebrew, which is African, So he come to but I noticed here, the most important thing he really tried to push was the music, you know, you try to push the music on them. So something about this music that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego wasn't agreeing to, you know, the music had to been all frequency, you know. This music had to been a music that wasn't connected with nature, that wasn't connected with I biology and all life around us. You know what I mean? The iron flutes and all these different type of, even back then, if they didn't really had electricity, they had metal instruments. You know, they wasn't making the instruments straight from out the earth like the drums, you know, like the goat skin, you know, and the hand clapping and, you know, the shakers, you know, they had them, but they didn't want to use that because that was dealing with the creator. The African has to come to bring the people them away from the creator, you know. He wanted to be served as a god. He didn't really want them to walk in the way of, you know, the black rice still. So when it comes to music now, music is very significant, you know, music, the right type of music, you know, could rock the heart of the righteous, you know. And even playing the wrong music, you have some people, they get entertained by that too. But that doesn't mean it has a spiritual effect on them, a good spiritual effect on them, you know. The music could be very hold down, you know, set back, you know, it could set you back, you know. So we give thanks for the drum music, which is the ancient music, you know. Even the bass drum, the kete and the fante, they go different skin too. You have the female and you have the male. So now the bass drum is the male skin, you know, that's why you have that thunder sound, you know. It's the male skin, the ram is more, you know, tough. And then you get that bell sound from the kete, from the female skin. So even certain type of skin, you have to, you know, put on the drum, you know, certain skin carry certain frequency, certain energy, same way, you know. So you have to give thanks for all these science that King Manuel come to bring to I and I, you know. And, you know, enough may argue about the reggae, the rap, and all these different type of music, you know. A lot of people get very emotional about that, you know, but King Manuel made it clear that, you know, he ain't come to really deal with reggae and all them things. And if you study the history of these different music and stuff like that, like reggae, you'll find out that the main producers that created this industry was, you know, European men from Britain, you know, like Chris Blackwell, you know, he created Island Records. These the type of men that really started reggae. So it didn't really have nothing to do with African, you know. It's just an entertainment to entertain the white world. You see, they ain't got nothing to do with entertaining the creator. That's why King Manuel born it out. You know what I mean? Yeah, if an individual choose to go that way for their own personal gain, well, to take care of their family and put food on the table, yeah. But when it comes to trying to defend it like King Manuel accept it, or you could, you know, try to like partial with it where you could, or you can let it in to Bobo Shanti culture. No, you know, it ain't got nothing to do with Bobo Shanti culture. So European culture, same way, you know, African NASA culture. Same goes for rap and all those different music, because they ain't got nothing to deal with life. You know, the frequency is off. You know, even if there's the lyrics or the words that come out their mouth is righteous, the beat, the sound waves from it, it still overpower the word sound, you know. It still overpower the words because the music, it's serious, it's strong. You know, that's why even when in service, especially like Sabbath service or whatever like that, you can't go in there practicing, you know. You have to go there as a chief musician, You know, someone who know what they're doing when they go to play, because it's like you go into war. You know, you go on a battlefield, you go in the fiery furnace. So you have to know how to play. You have to know the tune to play, you know, and then your meditation have to be on the right frequency. You know, your thought process have to be in alignment with how you're playing, you know. It's just like when you're playing a piano, how you have to know the notes which you playing. The same thing goes with the drum. You know, you have to know the notes which you're sending out, because sometimes you could be sending notes back to you to harm you. You'll be playing all type of gibberish and you harming yourself because you're not playing it the right way. That's like messing with a weapon, like a sword or a gun or whatever like that. You don't know how to load up the gun. You don't know how to shoot. You know, you don't know how to use the sword. You could harm yourself. That's just how the the drum music is. You know, it's a ammunition. It's a weapon that the righteous ones use to destroy, all evil forces. To break down wrong and set up right. So we give thanks for the first music, the mother of all music. Even if you hear the music out there, the electronic noise, I call them, because anything you have to plug in, it's the electronic noise. It don't have no real electricity in it. The real electricity come from the flesh and blood. That's real life. So when you sweating and you're in service and sweating your palm, your hand, just playing the right tunes and everything, that's really electricity. That send power out there in the universe. So when you see ones and ones come with the electronic noise, it holds down your power, man. It holds down your growth, your spiritual growth, you know. Because even out there in the world, I never really used to listen to reggae or the American music or nothing like that. I always felt a connection with the drums, because in the Bahamas they have a festival we do every year called Junkanoo, where people from all over the world come. It's like like a carnival. They get bass drums, some get the Celtic type drums, and they get their costumes, like how you see the Dugon them used to wear the costumes to dance certain movements of the stars and stuff like that. That's the same way how the Junkanoo culture is here in the Bahamas. And Junkanoo came from Ghana, from Accra. It's a African chief called Junkanoo, and that's where the Junkanoo tradition come from. With the drums and wearing on certain, um, artwork, the stuff like design of difference, like the sun and the moon. And if you look up Junkanoo, you'll see, certain individuals dressed in like different stars and sun and planets and stuff, costumes and stuff like that. But now today, they do it to entertain the white world, so they'll do cartoon characters now. They do all type of things just to entertain. They ain't really for the spiritual ritual how it used to be anymore. So that's why I'm really losing that power with when it comes to real music, because it's so much of entertainment, like making money from it or whatever. It ain't really about giving praises to Jah no more. Even if you pass the churches, when you hear the music, the church is playing, everything is electronic noise. Like you don't really feel the electricity. You don't feel alive when you listen to it. It sound dead, no life there. But when I first went to the tabernacle, when I first experienced service and I heard the drums, my Lord, I was astonished. I could feel my heart heal, and I could feel the comfort. I could feel my mind was going to another realm. The thought level was expanding. Everything was just changing. When I could go inside there and really feel like that drums, inside my soul. I like, bread. I say, that's what they take from my night. And if you study history through slavery, the drums was keeping us calm through the slave period, coming here on them ships and things. That was the only thing we had really to keep us, you know, with hope, hope and faith that everything will be all right. So we play the drum to keep us in good spirit, and when we reach on the plantation, they take the drum away from us, and they give us all type of metal instruments, just like say like the flute. Out in African as I was talking about the flute and stuff. The flute really represent the conch shell, we see King Manuel blow for the hours for morning, midday, and evening hours, the block our prayer. That was the ancient flute right there, the trumpet, but Christ say he come to blow, that's the trumpet right there, the conch shell. It carry a more divine frequency, and they have this device that can see the aura of sounds. And when you blow the conch shell, they saw like an aura of like the red, gold, and green, coming from the sound of the conch shell, and they say the conch shell blow a certain, how you call it now, how I can say it where you could understand, but it sent out a certain cleansing aura to chase away any like bacteria in the air. And yeah, man, it's amazing what the creational instruments could do, and when you see he's saying the psaltery and dulcimer, all these are different instruments with Nebuchadnezzar was using to take us out ourselves, to kill that God and I them. So we give thanks for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who say, no, man, we gonna stand up for the true ancient order, the first music. And that's what I encourage all, Bobo Shanti and Africans all over, or anyone all over the world, encourage them to tune into more, the original music, play more drums, teach your youths them to, play the drums them, because that could, bring healing to them, that bring education to them too. It clear up their meditation. Like with my son from he was born, I had him playing the drum, and you could see the joy he was getting just, playing the drum or whatever. He ain't get that joy if you put a radio next to him or a tablet playing music and stuff like that. You see, he ain't gonna get that same joy because it's dead. That's dead music, So just experiencing life and seeing how the drums affect the children and other people's lives, you could see that it's a life music, you know what I mean? Even in the hospitals right now, they've been experimenting on the drums with, the elders them, with Alzheimer's and people with, depression and all these things, and Down syndrome, they prove the drums, heal these people, make these people feel better, people who was going through all type of, stress, Parkinson and all these different things. Yeah, man, the drum could cleanse these things, Yeah, man. So we give thanks for the powers of the drum, and a lot of neurologists and a lot of enough people I'm trying to, get into the science, the effect the drums really have on individuals, and people in these hospitals and stuff. And they ain't really go teach I and them these things in school. They don't want I and them know these. They just want I and them to go to school to really work for them, and just live day to day working on the plantation and making their kingdom flourish. They don't want, and they take the real science and empower themselves with I and them ancient knowledge and give us the garbage, give us they that life, they that music and they that way of thinking. So it's up to I and them to go and research on these things, study the art of music, study the science, of music, you know, and the effect the ancient music have on the human biology, you know. So we give thanks for the drum sound, we give thanks for the shakers. Even the shakers have powers, you know, and they call it the rattle, like the native Indians. They have it. Enough a lot of people, even when you see the baby them, they give them the little shaker and they just holding the joy with the shaker. So something about that shaker would it bring some type of peace, would it bring a spiritual aura around you, you know? And if you shake the shaker, they call it a rattle because it sounds like a rattlesnake when the rattlesnake shake their tail, you know? It sound like a rattlesnake and then it sound like raindrops, you know, and it represent the globe too. When you hold it represent the globe, like you have the whole world in your hand. And it makes sense why they call it the rattle too, because you know, when if you hear a rattlesnake, you get frightened, like it, you know that like that's a judgment. Same thing when you shaking the shake on, when we shake the shake on the gold, and when the priest starts shaking it fast, it's like a judgment he's sending out. It meaning like he's sending a judgment. So it's the same science, you know, with nature. You know what I mean? So we give thanks for King Manuel come with the ancient order. You know, and when we say ancient order, we ain't saying it just to sound good. The man really come with the ancient order, the ancient way to live. You know what I mean? It might look simple to the naked eye, those who can't see beyond the veil, you know, but if you really study life and study the mind well, you'll see that everything the mind brings is to benefit I and item well-being spiritually and temporally, you know. So the music the mind bring I and item is life, you know, and when the mind say, you know, reggae of the X world, you know, though he didn't give it in full Pacific, but that's where I and I'm coming where we have to study and be like, you know what, why King Manuel say this? You know, why he say this is wrong, why he say this is right. And not saying you being disobedient or nothing, but it's good to go and research and be like, you know what, let me find out why Jah say don't do this. You know what I mean? Because we live in a time where it's information age, you know, the age of information. So if someone tell you something, you could go and research it and look it up to see if it's accurate. You know, you could find some type of, you know, information to lead you close to the answers you're looking for. You know, it ain't like back then in our days where, you know, internet was around where you could just go on Google and Google it or whatever like that. It's a little harder to find certain information. So that's how I know Jah is an ancient God, you know, because they ain't really had those type of they ain't had no access to them information at that time. So for him to bring such an ancient order, even like in Jamaica, you know, where, you know, ain't really much traveling was going on back then to say like bringing information from Africa here or whatever like that. So it's like how the man know this ancient way? How you know to resurrect these slaves here in Jamaica to their anciency? You know what I mean? So it had to been, you know, in the blood. It had to been, you know, genetic memory bank. You know, the man had to be the reincarnation of an ancient God. You know, to come and bring this ancient lifestyle and I don't. You know what I mean? So, and I encourage once and once, you know, to practice on the drum, you know, and learn notes, you know, learn the rhythms and feel it out. You know what I mean? Because once you play it long enough, you start to feel yourself, you know, you start to feel the rhythm you're looking for. And you start playing the sounds you want to hear, and then it starts to affect your body. It start to affect your mind. You start to get clear thought, you know, concentrated thought. I watch one brethren came in service one time, and someone was saying the brethren, you know, must be of a gang member or something like that. So he come with like, I wouldn't say a negative mindset, but he come to get cleansed. And I literally watched this brethren sweat, dead sweat in service. When that bass drum was hitting, I could have seen him sweating like you swear thought it was raining inside there. That sweat was just dripping, and he started to catch some flashes, and the brethren just collapsed. And they had to came out and to catch the stuff because of that dark energy was in him. You can't, you gotta be pure to take certain frequency from the drum, especially if the right man them playing the drums. You gotta be careful if your heart ain't right, you know. Nyabinghi Order could really lick your heavens, lick you up, you know. So we give thanks for the skillful musicians, you know, skillful musicians within, you know, this order still to come and, you know, rock life to the righteous and death to the wicked, you know. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. So, you know, we give thanks, you know, for the drum sound, the ancient calling, you know, that brings, you know, a oneness to I and myself. You know what I mean? That come to rejuvenate the mind, the body, and the soul. You know what I mean? Because right now in this time, we gotta get back to our ancient way of life, as it was from the beginning, so shall be in the end. You know, all this new way of living, all these other music, they Johnny come lately. You know, these new electronic noise, they ain't really have no power. You know, they just to give the white world riches. You know, and then to give the black world who supporting it, you know, house, car, and to feed their family or whatever. But it ain't got nothing to do with spiritual power. You know, like the drum sound, you know, and the shakers and the clapping, you know, with our hands. You know, that's the first sound. You know, the clapping carry a real significant sound wave. You know, they had a study. If you clap a certain way, it even start to even make certain plants grow. You know, they be studying all type of things, my Lord Majesty. These people they getting paid for that. You get billionaires that pay these individuals to go and just go study the sound waves of clapping your hand. What that does, what that does to affect, you know, life and plants and people. Some of them they pay individuals just you know, study, you know, your word sound, the plants. Like if you read a book named Secret Life of Plants, they did a study where if you speak in negative to a certain plant, the plant just starts to drop. And then they start to speak life to the plant, saying, I love you, and good words of life. And the plant was just nice and green and blossoming. And, you know, so they have individuals that, you know, they pay on a regular base just to study these type of, you know, these type of things. So it's just for I and them, you know, to take our time out, you know, and study too. Because it's I and them ancient liberty is I and them thing. We teach them that, you know, and they take it from us and they using it in their science lab and making books and making money off it, you know. So we give thanks for the mind that come and try and them, you know, to read, you know, Marcus Garvey said read and study until you discover knowledge of the universe, the world, you know. Reading is like a compass, you know. If you don't know how to navigate the ship, how you expect to get your way around? That's just like that's what it is with reading and studying and accumulating right information, you know. It takes you around the world, it makes you understand life in a more clear sense. You know what I mean? So we give thanks for the ancient rhythmic music, you know, that send ancient sound waves throughout the universe and throughout the planet, you know. We give thanks. Nyabinghi Order, Jehovah, Jah, Rastafari. You know, reason and have no end. I can go on, you know, just reason about the mystics and the science of the music, you know. And I recommend a book too, you know. It would be good for one to have in the archive. It's called The Healing Power of the Drum, you know, written by Robert Lawrence, you know, Friedman. If you could get hold of this book, it bring a clear understanding of how they're using drums in the medical field in these hospitals and things, you know, to even heal these, you know, elder, senior folks and things. And this old folks home, how they, you know, the drums heal them and make them rest and, you know, make them feel rejuvenated, you know. People them with all type of different illnesses, how the drum could heal them, you know, and clapping, how the clapping could heal them and the shakers and the singing and the chanting and, you know, so came out come with the full healing package, you know, through the royal choir, you know, Daniel number one band, you know. and the chanting of the Psalms, Psalms 24, Psalms 136, Psalms 127, it's your Psalm chant, with the drums. You can imagine the effect that chant is have out in the world, out in the atmosphere, on item within the tabernacle, just reading the Psalms, on Psalms reading is powerful. Imagine chanting it, with the drum sound and the clapping and the singing, and each Psalm has a particular purpose for any difficulty you going through in life. When I was on the hill, any little difficulty you might be going through, like just even going to get water from the sea or water from the well, it's a psalm to pray when you're blocking your prayer, the 23rd Psalm, putting turban on your head, it's the psalm you read for that, and going to court and all these things, is a psalm to read for that. Any certain difficulty you go on in life, it's a psalm to read. And I read in one of Marcus Garvey's speeches, Marcus Garvey say, if you and your empress or anybody in your family going through something, like he specifically said, it's queen. If y'all having a little falling or whatever, he say you don't get into no argument. All he do is go catch some fresh air or read some psalms to calm him down, calm his soul down or whatever, and then he go back to his empress, with a different type spirit and rejuvenated and refreshed. So that's the power of the Psalms I have, Even with my mother when she was sick, I would play the drums around her and read the Psalms, and she'll go right to rest because she had problems resting, so I'll just play the drums, just a melodious sound, soft on the kete, and she'd be right there just tuning in and listening until I look up. She gone in another realm, the astral projection, So I give thanks. I learn more of the science and the powers of the drum than my personal experience, So, I just encourage one to stay more on the Daniel #1 band, stay more on Daniel #1 band train, man, get on that glory road, give thanks for Jah Daniel study group and his I think every Tuesday they have music classes where you can learn different hymns and choruses and things. That's a dread move, the honorable make, so ones could learn hymns and choruses and even I don't know if they just play the drums on it or anything, even learn, more of the tunes and the notes of the drums, because some go, I see enough individuals play the drum, them, they just playing anything, you know what I mean? And then you can notice the service don't even be as, alive, just because the wrong player's playing, the whole thing just look like, drain, like no life. And then you see a chief musician coming, you see the whole tabernacle just bright up, light up, everyone feeling nice and rocking and clapping and singing loud, and so that's what the right tunes do, it start to activate, the organs that activate, certain molecules within the structure and bring it to life still, Nyabinghi Order, Jovia, Jah, Rastafari.
All right.
Yes, my Lord and Majesty, that's my few words, on the ancient music and the difference between, sat back and, the effect the electronic noise have on us and the effect of ancient music, the drum music, the clapping and singing, the shakers, have on I them same way, Honorable my Lord. Yes, God, I give thanks. Yes, Majesty, that's my few words on anyone, I have a question or, Honorable my Lord.
Yes, God, we just seal up, just the reasons to.
All right, give thanks. Yeah, man, give thanks. So, yeah, man, I glorify, this ancient order, my Lord, Nyabinghi Order, and we got to keep it alive because I see, most, and I am not even in Bobo Shanti and Rastafari in general, like not like when even people see us, people who really don't know the real history, what I and I stand for, the real culture. First thing they say when they see I and I, they say Bob Marley, they say reggae. I don't encounter that so much time, especially, certain Europeans and tourists them and things. They say, Bob Marley, reggae or whatever. And then when I tell them, no reggae or whatever, they look at me like, what? You can't be no real Rasta if you don't listen to no reggae. So, it come like they trying to water down the drum music, the Nyabinghi, you know, and you have some Rasta them, they get offended by it when you tell them I don't listen to that or I strayed or whatever like that, but it's okay for them to say, yeah, they listen to these things, but it ain't okay when you say you don't, so that I could tell you they more supporting, the European creation of music and the African way, and I'll never bow to that electronic noise. I'll always, promote the Daniel number one band, Nyabinghi Order, you know what I mean? Because I know the powers that have, I know the health benefits it have, I know the spiritual benefits it have, for the mind, body, and soul for our children, you know what I mean? And like if you see Priest Daniel on the hill and these man have been playing drums from this young around data. Now these man have cheap musicians. The way they play, like it's like studio type music. I don't see why they ain't have like a studio setup for them yet, like to say to play them the bingy with the studio sound, where you could have albums or whatever one could listen to, you know, instead of just listening to it in service, like set a studio, even them reggae artists, both them who's reggae artists and stuff, they done supposed to set up something like that already for Daniel number one band, where you could hear the sound effect in a more clear, clear sound effect, But eventually later on, I guess the right individuals will get there. You know what I mean? Because I can see myself, driving in my vehicle and I playing my bingy and nice sound system, playing my bingy with a clear sound, like you can see it been recorded in a studio with, the sound effect, dread, Yeah, man, nothing wrong with getting it to that type of level, hopefully, the right ones, like I say, will come and bring it to that standard. You know what I mean? Because we got individuals proudly listening to all type of music. They ain't have no problem with that. So we could make it happen. Thanks, my Lord. Honorable. Bless it. So I'll close out with that. We don't want very honorable, my Lord. So free to close the reasoning up, honorable. Seal it up.
Yes, John.
Honorable.
Yes, my Lord.
Holy Manuel, I.
Yeah. Rastafari.
All right. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is, brethren, dwell in love and unity. That your precious ointment upon the head that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beards that went down to the skirt of his garment. As the dew of Hermon, as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, there the Lord command the blessings, even life forevermore. We allow God, Celestial, Jehovah God, Rastafari. Almighty God, Rastafari, great and terrible God, Rastafari, the Almighty God. Thou sit in Zion and reign in the heart of all flesh. But our most high eternal Father, Jehovah God, Rastafari. Rest and bless us, O Lord, and keep on sanctify us all. And cause thy holy face to shine upon us, thy children that we shall be saved every day. O thou most high God, Jah, Rastafari. There's a happy land far, far away, where the saints in glory stand by the stage. While they secretly sing, worthy is our Savior King. Loud let your praises ring, praise, praise for right. King Manuel the 7th, Adonia.
Yeah. Rastafari.
Together we walk, together we talk, together we watch one another speak. Some people say we have no need, but we're doing the Lord's command, laws and commandments of our Father, our Heavenly King, Father Moses, Jehovah,
Jah.
Jah,
Rastafari.
Lord and Majesty.
Really.
Bless God.
Yes, Lord, my Lord.
Bless God. Give thanks.